It was the beginning of November. Plant City, Florida was my destination. It was a place in Florida where I would go migrate with my family to pick up strawberries. It was a beautiful, calm, and peaceful town to relax, but for me, it was a town of hell. I would say that this town was where I had felt loneliness, racism, and sometimes ashamed of myself. I had witnessed many racism in that town, especially during my school years. In 5th grade, I remember Marta. She was a tough and chubby girl, and I was a short and skinny Mexican. She was one of the many persons who bullied me around and made my life miserable. In class, she would act nice with me because she knew I was the teacher's favorite, but when it was time to go home, she would push me around all the way to the bus station. Unfortunately, she also lived close by my house. I would always sit 5 seats behind the bus driver because the first seats were reserved for the younger children. Marta would sit at the end of the bus. One stop before I would get dropped off, she would move to the front and wait for me to call me ugly names. Other times, she would stretch out her leg in front of me when I would get out, so I could trip over and fall. The first time she did that, I just tripped and kept on walking like nothing happened. The next time, she laid under the seats and would not let me pass, so I just jumped over her legs. It got to the point where I got tired of her, so the next time she did one of her moves, I just stepped on her foot as hard as I could and ran out of the bus. After that, Marta had stopped bullying me. It was late 2004 and November had begun. I didn't want to leave Texas and all my friends behind, but I had no choice. It was for the good of the family. We needed money, and Florida had what we wanted. It was my freshman year in a new high school, and I was afraid. I didn't know what to expect. I would always enter school at the middle of the year. Everybody in class knew each other and had their own groups. Cliques and gangs were formed based on ethnicity, race, and popularity. All of a sudden, the school became a war zone. All I would see in the halls were fights between rednecks, Mexicans, and African Americans. I remember telling my parents every other day, ya me quiero ir, ya no want to estar aquí, quiero regresar a Texas con mis amigos. I was always afraid of going through the halls. I was terrified of getting punched like Maria, one of my classmates. But what kept me going to school and kept me motivated was going to the library during my lunch break. By the time the bell rang for lunch, I would always go to the library and would catch up on my novela Rebelde. Other times, when the library was closed, I would hang out by myself outside of school where nobody could see me. Most of the time, I would never eat till I got home. My decision of going to the library was a way for me to isolate from other students and avoid getting hit with racism. By the time the month of May had come, I was glad the school year had ended. I remember telling my parents, yo ya no vuelvo a estudiar en esa escuela. That freshman year was the last time I stepped into that school.